I've got an itch I can't scratch, I'm missing a piece that completes a whole part of me, an open wound scar to see. Everybody come here, gather round, welcome to the freak show, the best in town. What the hell's wrong with me? I don't get along with anybody, honestly. I've been living in my own head constantly, thoughts jumbled round, think I need a new lobotomy. Wait, all these thoughts are too negative, I don't wanna get lost in the sedative. Gotta show them what I got, I'm competitive. You know I'm about to go.
Welcome back again to Tuesday Night Talks. This is Dave from Dave's Dimension, the channel where chaos and insanity will always reign supreme, in your channel for tech, toys, and talk. This week we are talking, we're talking Comic Cons, cosplay, the truths, the facts, the fandoms, the tips, and the truth. And our first guest tonight is Roger, a good friend of mine, known for, well over maybe 10 years now.
Oh, at least, yeah.
Yeah, at least. And he's also a local con goer, local con attendee, just like I am in the Buffalo, New York area. And we both have our own unique perspectives as far as Comic Cons. Comic Cons, cosplays, there's some pluses and minuses. There's a lot of things to discuss. And a lot of people out there might not be fully aware of anything and everything. But let me go ahead and say hello to a few guests we have in the chat. By the way, we are also simul streaming this on both Facebook and YouTube. If you're interested in following the YouTube channel, that is Dave's Dimension on YouTube. Go ahead and check that out. And of course, Dave's_Dimension on Instagram for more information. Now, let's go ahead and check out. We got Mega Demon Collects saying, yo, everyone. FYI, no longer Mega Demon. I'm Mega Dan. Okay, he's Mega Dan. Dan the man. There you go. Okay, we also have Nerd Affiliated, Stephen Archer, El Presidente of Nerd Affiliated, and also head of the Real Nerd Busters on Instagram, so you want to check them out. He's a great cosplayer, great YouTuber, good friend of the channel. Glad you're popping into the chat here. So, Comic Cons in general, some people think that years ago it was just a bunch of us nerds grouping together, buying merch that you wouldn't normally see in the stores. And you would the most infamous is, let's be honest, between Star Wars and Star Trek back in the 80s for the most part. But then the fandom started to expand, Marvel and DC Comics, and now it's exploded into anything and everything. I mean, you can get a tattoo at a Comic-Con now. A true story. Mrs. Dimension has done that. I mean, it's a place where you can dress up. And by the way, I want to put this out first and foremost. There's no such thing as size restrictions or limitations when it comes to cosplay, if you ask me. We also have Dre, the Collector Safe Space, in the chat. One of my best friends and one half of the Outer Dimension podcast. So glad you're popping through. With that being said, like I said, cosplay is for everyone. It's not just for, the slender females who are like 5'9" and like $115. No. And it's not for the guys who are like 6'1" and only weigh like 180. I wish. It's for anyone and everyone. Okay. If you guys saw my thumbnail, those are 3 pictures of me in cosplay. 2 of them are Ghostbusters, and one is one I'm going to be doing at Fan Expo. Captain N the Game Master. It's a cartoon from the 80s. Anyone can do anything. I've seen people who are restricted to wheelchairs or walking canes, walkers. I saw a guy kit up his walker to make it look like a friggin' DeLorean. He had lights, he had sound effects, he even had like a little smoke machine hooked up to it. I mean, the only limitations is your imagination in my book. Okay. So I would just want to make sure everyone's aware of that. There it is right there. Most importantly, cosplay is for everyone, no matter age, size, weight, mental or physical limitations. There is no such thing. And have fun. Have fun and get your cosplay on, guys. That's the best. That's the most important thing. If you want to dress up, you go ahead and dress up. Have at it. If you don't want to dress up, don't dress up. Mind you, you have to wear clothes. I'm not saying don't wear clothes because, you're not going to get into the con then. But I mean, cosplay is about having fun. I mean, now it's like, it's even hip to go. You're cool if you go to a Comic-Con now. I mean, we were going to Comic-Cons before it was cool.
Cool's a strong word.
Culturally accepted.
There we
I mean,
go.
think about how many cosplayers have turned their cosplay into a professional career. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, just every platform out there. I mean, there are YouTube channels, there's Twitch channels that are built around cosplay, you know. And let's be honest, those people are usually the so-called quote unquote GQ cover of Sports Illustrated type physiques, you know. But I mean, that's the thing. You could strike a following, you know, and it can blow up. Some people have made it into a careers. Some people have parlayed it and even gotten small acting roles. There's a few I follow that do that. Um, but Comic Cons, there's pluses and minuses to it. Now, Roger, I want to hear your thoughts. Now, when you hear that there's a Comic Con coming up, what's the first thing that enters your mind?
Usually I am wondering who the guests are going to be,
Mm-hmm.
because for the most part you're going to get the same vendors at each con. Sometimes you'll get some different local vendors, which is always exciting. There was one at Nickel City this
Mm-hmm.
past year that was an author that was from the area, and she was very nice, and you know, it was her first con as well. So
Yeah, I do get that sometimes there's the repeat vendors.
mhm.
Those who are watching and aren't familiar with the Buffalo, New York area, we have essentially there's like three massive cons within our vicinity. There's Nickel City Con in downtown Buffalo, the Buffalo Convention Center. We have the Niagara Falls Comic Con right over the border. And then also, when you go over the border in August, like I am this coming weekend, there's the Big Mother, which is the mother of all cons in our area. Let's be honest, the largest one in our area is Fan Expo. Now, Fan Expo is the big one that, I mean, now that WizardCon is kind of, gone the way of the dodo. It's pretty much like it's Fan Expo, it's Dragon Con, San Diego Con, and probably New York City Comic Con are probably the big ones. I mean, you have more of the collector ones. I mean, there's Joe Fest, and there's all these other smaller ones out there that they're more geared towards toy collectors.
There's
Was it?
actually one coming up in, if I may interject real quick.
Yeah.
There's one coming up in Rochester in September, I think,
Okay.
that I want to go to because John Barrowman's going to be there.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Captain Jack Hartness himself.
Harkness
Okay.
himself, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. From
Very cool.
Torchwood, Doctor Who.
In Rochester.
Yep.
Okay. I'll need to look that up.
Yeah.
You know,
I think there's
Hoovian.
only a couple of guests.
See, even my buddy Oz was like, "Oh, Captain Jack."
Yeah.
Yeah, John Barrowman, and also from Arrow
I
and a few
don't
others.
think there's a lot of guests coming, but
Okay.
I mean, sometimes it only takes one.
Now, here this is me. I'm kind of negative. I'm kind of bad about this. You said the first thing that pops in your mind is what guests are going to be there.
Mhm.
My head is like, okay, what guests are scheduled to be there, and who's actually gonna be there?
I've kind
Because
of
it seems
figured
like
it
maybe about
out
a
a
quarter drop
little
out.
bit. Oh, there's always dropouts. There's always dropouts. You start getting them a couple months
Yeah.
beforehand, and then you get the
Hell,
final ones a week or
today,
two before.
Alan Tudyk canceled. Well, he's not feeling well,
Yeah.
so I understand that.
Well,
And I
yeah.
mean,
I mean, they have lives and stuff, but
yeah,
sometimes,
and
if you
sometimes
noticed at Nickel
they pass
City,
away.
if you
Shannon
noticed at
Doherty
Nickel
was supposed to be at
City,
Fan Expo,
yeah, yeah.
so
At this past Nickel City, I think Ray Park was going to be there,
yes,
and he had to cancel. I think that might have had something to do with keeping secrets,
yeah. I mean, oh,
because
look at
because
the state of
everyone
Star
that was
Wars right now.
no, everyone that was in, spoiler alert, Deadpool and Wolverine
Yeah.
canceled their cons.
Well, Well, here's
right
the thing.
beforehand.
Supposedly that wasn't actually him
Oh,
in
really?
Deadpool, but they used his likeness.
Oh,
He probably wanted some cheddar, and they probably were like, you're not going to
I
have any
thought.
speaking parts.
uh,
I mean, he
I
rarely
thought
had
that was
any
a
speaking
problem
parts
since
in the first
Crispin
X-Men
Glover.
movie. Huh?
I thought that was a problem since Crispin Glover in Back to the Future 2.
Hey, technology. And my buddy, Dude's Nerdery in the chat saying, what did I think of, what did we both, you're a Whovian, obviously.
Yeah,
What did you think about the recent season of Doctor Who?
I have not
I,
watched it yet.
okay, I'll be
I
honest.
I have not watched past
Capaldi.
a certain point of Jodie Whittaker.
Okay. I mean,
I didn't see any of Flux on.
okay. Flux was interesting because they did one long, it was like a mini series basically, which some shows can do a long story arc very
Mhm.
well. Battlestar Galactica, it's
Yes.
just one big ginormous story arc.
Yeah.
Star Trek Enterprise, not so much, but I think that's mostly the network, which was UPN at the time, and some of the writers. Um, Nothing against that, but I mean, me personally, I
They
enjoyed.
did that pretty well though. The first once they got to the third season,
Yeah, but
the
that's when the
Xindi War
studios,
arc
that's
was
when
good.
the channel started to kind of like, they just were flopping them all over the place. But
And
this
that's when they
recent one,
jazzed up the theme song too.
yeah, they threw a little bass into it,
Yeah.
Um, but Shooty Gotway, I like him as the Doctor. I get a lot of people feel a certain kind of way because he's playing the Doctor completely different than what we've seen the Doctor.
Mhm.
Now we've had young actors play the Doctor, David Tennant, Matt Smith, but he's actually playing the Doctor as a little bit more carefree. Now, I'm not gonna if you haven't seen the David Tennant specials, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but let's just say the Doctor kind of is unburdened. Some of the regret and anger of centuries, millennias, are kind of lifted. And this is Doctor Who's a bit more carefree. And he plays that,
Nice.
Um, also, obviously, he's playing more omnisexual, very much like Captain Jack. And
Mhm.
I think some people kind of feel off-putted by that, but hell, it's 2024. Get off your high horse. Just enjoy it. I mean, there's some great callbacks to
Mhm.
vintage Doctor Who. Obviously, they're kind of like they kind of fourth wall break once or twice, but they have some pretty good stories. And obviously, whenever you get a new Doctor, that first series or season, you
Mhm.
you get that kind of like they have to find their footing, right?
Right.
Same
Right.
tenants, everyone's that way. I mean, hell, even Capaldi changed from how he started to what he wound up doing.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
Capaldi from his first
oh yeah,
appearance to his last appearance was
and
a
he's
completely different Doctor.
by the way, if you ever go to a con or you get to meet him in person, the best ever.
I heard he is a
The friggin'
lovely
best
human
ever.
being.
We got Millennium Workshop, who is a fellow 3D maker and prop maker. He makes some amazing Star Wars themed helmets. If anyone's interested in him, go ahead and check out his content on not just on YouTube, but he also has Millennium Workshop on Instagram. He seriously makes killer screen accurate movie quality helmets. So if anyone's a Star Wars fanatic, I'm looking at you, dude's nerdery. He said, "Yes, been a Whovian since a little kid. Grandma introduced him on a PBS. Yeah, there you go. I think he's doing a good job. Only his version. I think Ruby is a really fun companion, much better than 13's crew. Yeah, fam, right? Uh, we got the man collect saying, "What's up, all?" Yeah, I mean, going to cons, it's like, yeah, I kind of like I'm always checking every day. Okay, let's see who's dropped or who's extended their time, because that's what they'll do. Sometimes they'll shake like, hey, they'll go to an actor like, hey, we had someone drop out. Would you be willing to maybe spend another half day or another day with us?
Mhm.
And they probably comp on, they probably, obviously they give them a little bit of cheddar for it, but Tara Strong is going to be there. I missed out on getting her autographed on another event earlier this year. Um, maybe I'll go ahead and get an autograph of her this year, because those that don't know, she actually voiced one of the characters from Extreme Ghostbusters. Well, she's voiced just about every character in anime pretty much now. So I'm kind of debating over that. John Rhys Davies, Sala from Indiana Jones, but he's always going to be the professor from Sliders for me. So
Yeah.
I think he would be cool. I know a lot of people
And
know
Lord of
him
the
as
Rings.
Gimli. Yep. But I kind of like, I think it'd be cool to get the professor. There's a few,
Oh,
one or two other
Sliders?
people. Danny Trejo, Machete. I mean, he's going to be there. I mean, come on, get like a selfie at the table with him. I'm good to go. Oh, there you go. Just finished my lightsaber build. He does a lot of different props. My Hasbro Proton Pack, which was part of their crowdfunding a couple like two years ago, I think it was. I'm converting it to Afterlife, and Millennium actually helps me out by making the bumper, the three prong yellow bumper. He made it seamlessly. You can't tell that they are multiple pieces glued together. He just does amazing work. Let's see here. But I think they crushed 10 and 11's first season. Yeah, you know what? I mean, Tennant just had that energy. He had that wild, kind of crazy energy. He was always into science. And, it was the first time in years that we actually had a doctor wearing glasses, his brainy specs. But ironically, the last person to do that was his now father-in-law. We got Captain Spaulding saying hello, Dave brother. He's a great horror fanatic, big horror collector and horror collector of tattoos. Dudes in the Professor Sliders sounds like a cool dog's name. Yeah, Professor Maximilian Archo. Oh yeah, there's Mrs. Dimension. Dr. 12 is the best. That's Capaldi, because she got a hug from him. So that's always going to be her favorite. And she loved how he was written anyways.
I loved Capaldi's Doctor.
I mean,
he's probably one of my favorites.
I would say he's probably he's probably the best of the modern era.
Mm-hmm.
And that's saying much, because I'm a big Tennant fan.
Yeah.
I'm a
absolutely.
big number 10 fan. Number 10 and 14. Spoilers. Loved
it's
his
been out
portrayal
like a
of both.
year now. There's no more spoiler alerts.
Well, I mean, if you didn't see the specials, Roger, you want to watch the 3 specials.
I'm going to.
Okay.
Eventually.
Well, no. Let's just say you'll see something you've never seen. Well, you might have probably seen it spoiler wise, but no. I mean, that's the thing. We get to go to these cons, and sometimes the experiences at these cons are beyond belief. When my wife and I went to a fan expo a couple years ago, it was like right after the pandemic. We went. I dressed up as number 11. I got some black slacks, some black chinos, suspenders. I did like the powder blue shirt, did the bow tie, got the little name tag from when he was working in the shop with the Craig? I can't think of his name. The guy who used to he used to have that late night talk show on Friday on CBS, where he was did like carpool karaoke. You know who I'm talking about. Him. Well,
I try to forget him.
The second time number 11
James
visited
Corden.
him, he wound up working at a shop, and he actually had a name tag that said the doctor. I actually got the name tag made up and everything. So my wife dressed up as Clara. So we did like a Doctor Who couple thing. And number 12 was going to be there, Capaldi. We spent the money for the photo op. So this is what Capaldi does. Like, he actually takes, let's see if I, he actually takes like a sonic screw. He takes my sonic screwdriver out of my hand. I have a real screwdriver, so excuse me. He takes it out of my hand. And he says, "Are you ready to save the universe?" Like, I mean, he's just like, he has fun with it, because, I mean, he was a fan himself as a kid. But those are the great interactions. There's great interactions, but sometimes little grain of salt for everybody out there. Sometimes you have to. You've heard the saying. Sometimes it's not good to meet your heroes. I've heard of some pretty bad interactions. I've heard of some pretty bad situations. And that's one thing you want to take a grain of salt. Like, I honestly was thinking about getting Marissa Tomei's autograph, but I've seen at recent cons, she's had it where she has the plexiglass. When you do like the selfies at the table, that's not exactly the greatest looking thing you want hanging on your wall, right? But I mean, I've heard, some people, maybe she was battling a really bad, cold or something. Who knows? Sometimes you get bad interactions. I've heard of some actors, some celebrities just being total d-bags to people.
Yeah.
So sometimes you kind of have to be mindful. So a lot of times what I do is I'm always about research. I'll hit up other like fan groups or other Comic Cons, or if I see a friend of mine posted like, oh, they were in California and they met. In fact, a friend of mine, I think they're in Chicago. They met Marina Bakarin, who was Vanessa from, of course, Deadpool, and she was Adra from
Stargate.
Stargate SG-1. She was also in Firefly, the V remake, and the list goes on and on and on. And so when he posted that he had a picture with her, I'm like, okay, I messaged him like, so how was she? Is she good interaction? My wife is looking forward to meeting her. He said she was amazing. I'm like, great. That's awesome. Sometimes you got to do your recon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you ever want to go into anything blind? Maybe a movie. Yeah, we don't want spoilers, but hey, it happens. But sometimes research is some of the best ways to go into something. It doesn't hurt to like there you go, Capaldi rules. Love the arc with 12 and River. Yes. And Clara had a really touching arc too. Yeah. Oh, Clara's still out there, guys. Keep that in mind. You never know. But that's the thing. Sometimes you got to go. Like, I know Shatner's coming to Nickel City this year, later this fall. I've heard that he's kind of mellowed out, but also I heard that he can be a bit weird at times. But on the flip side of it, I'm like, well, maybe I want to get an autograph with him because I mean, it's Kirk.
I
I mean,
will say
he's always going to be Kirk.
I'll say that I met him at I think it was my first Niagara Falls Comic Con, and he seemed lovely.
Okay.
His Q&A session was quite entertaining. And it was
coming from you that says a lot.
Yeah, it was quite entertaining. Well, someone had given him a gift that he said he couldn't take home with him. It was if I recall correctly, it was a Kirk battling Khan diorama.
Oh wow.
Twice set. And they'd given it to him and he couldn't take it home with him. So in the Q&A session, he said he would autograph whatever the winning bid was.
I'm sorry, I'm being invaded by Roxy Pool.
So he auctioned it off during the Q&A, and I mean, I'm on video bidding $250, and my wife at the time was like, "Was that you?"
No.
No. But it went for like $400. I wanted to have him sign it with something like, "I'm stuck in his basement. He's making me sign stuff. Please help, William Shatner."
Now, like I was saying before, get over here. Now, like I was saying before, you got to have fun when you go to a con. And also, like I said, doesn't matter size, weight, frame, physical abilities, limitations. So she got herself the Hot Topic did a Lady Deadpool like zip up hoodie with the mask, and she's got comfortable pants because that's another thing, guys. You go to a con, you want to be comfortable, right? You want to be comfortable, you want to be comfy, you want to also have fun with it. But this day and age, thank God for 3D printing, don't you think, Raj?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
3D printed. Since I got
Very
the
nice.
P1P from Bamboo Labs with the AMS, I'm able to do the multicolor printing. And of course, she chose the gold sparkly filament. You can see the sparkles right there.
It's purdy.
It's party. Roger says the party. I mean, she's got her belts. She's got her Deadpool belt. She's got her gun holsters. Also 3D printing, and that's the great thing about
Cosplay
things
is all
nowadays.
about creativity too.
Yes.
One of the my daughter cosplayed at pretty much every con we went to, and it looked great. But at one point, I played along, and I had a nerd box at the time, so I had like an Agents of Shield ID tag. So I put on a suit, and I was an agent of Shield.
Roger, I still have the lanyard. I know the one you're talking about, the
Yeah.
gold, and
Yep.
I still have that one. I also have a Sam Jackson
Nice.
Agent of Shield from Captain Marvel, which I could easily put my face on, and I
Mhm.
could always do that. But
Yep.
no, like 3D printed Captain N, the belt buckle.
Yep.
Why pay $70 for a non accurate looking zapper when I could just print one?
Exactly.
There you go. And that's the thing, like, yeah, we have 3D printers, but like when I first cosplayed, I didn't have a 3D printer.
Nope.
My first cosplay was actually a Ghostbusters Back to the Future mashup, where I bought a Spirit of Halloween proton pack for like $70. I painted the hell out of it, like I spray painted it silver. I bought like little bits and pieces, little things here and there. I had like a little Yahtzee flux capacitor because when you shook, it lit up. So that was perfectly fine. I'm walking around with
Yeah.
moving the backpack, the proton pack's moving around, it's lighting up. I had old oxygen hoses from my nebulizer. I ran a little LED wire through it so it looked like wire lights going up everywhere. You just use your imagination. You can just go hog wild. I mean, I've seen last year, New York City Comic Con. I was fortunate enough to go to New York City Comic Con, and this guy had this full blown Wolverine turning into a werewolf costume. The most amazing, just insane looking costume ever. But that's another thing, guys. I was talking about comfort. Wearing a big, massive costume like that, you got to worry about your health. Okay, you could be you could be Mr. Olympia. Okay, you could be an American Ninja for all that you want. But when it comes to that kind of stuff, I mean, you got to take care of your health. Your health is something that is very important. Let me scroll down here. Eating and hydrating. Low blood sugar, dehydration can lead to serious issues. I don't just mean passing out. I mean a person could die. You know, let's say you have a heart issue. You might not even be aware you could have a heart issue. I'm an asthmatic. The second con I went to, that's when I did my Back to the Future Ghostbuster thing. At the time, I was a very heavy set person. I was probably close to 500 pounds at the time. I wanted to get a gray flight suit because I love the gray flight suits from Ghostbusters. But the problem is they weren't really gray. They were navy and dyed gray. And most Ghostbuster cosplayers, you got a gray suit. That's what it is. It's navy with tons and tons of dye removal done to make it look gray. Me, I spent like $200. I reached out to a place called Suits USA. They make actual paramedic and proper like helicopter flight suits, but those are not meant to breathe. So, mind you, like early to mid June, sweating my butt off at Niagara Falls Comic Con, roasting like there's no tomorrow. I sweat so much, and with my extra body weight I had at the time, I was in constant pain and agony. Wearing the backpack, wearing the proton pack. At one point, I had to take the pack off. My wife was holding onto it. I mean, I was in pain. That's the thing. You guys have to think about comfort. Think of comfort. Think of like I have these lightweight aluminum stools I carry with me. They light as a feather, but they support up to I think 500 pounds each. Super strong, but
Yep.
they're lightweight. Take them with you because at a lot of cons, you don't have a bench to sit down at. You don't have seats you can sit at. So if you're at a massive con, one, they may not have any benches, and the only spots you might have to sit could be like at the, your your food court or whatever concession stands you might have. Those are real things you really need to take a look at and be mindful. Hydrating. A lot of cons won't let you take in Gatorade, but if you have medical reasons, you can bring in food and beverages. Me and my wife, we had gastric bypass a couple years ago. We have a card that we can take with us that we keep in our wallets. Like if we go to a restaurant, we want to order child-sized portions of food because we can't eat like we used to. That's what we'll do. We pull out the card, they let us do that. Same thing, like what our plans is, we plan on bringing some protein shakes with us. We buy the little premier protein shakes you can get at like Sam's Club or Walmart's and whatnot. And, as long as you have medical documentation, they have to let you in with it. Because we're low carb, high protein. So there's certain things we have to do. We have to have protein with us. My wife usually brings like little Ziploc bags of mixed nuts, raisins, or different stuff that to help keep your protein up. Cashews, just everything. And that's one thing to keep in mind is if you have a medical condition, don't just keep quiet about it. Make sure you're like, hey doc, I'm going to a Comic-Con and they don't let you bring in anything, and can you write me a document that says, hey, I can bring this stuff in? And obviously they have to let you in. It's not, just say, hey, it's not like you're bringing like 3 subs from Subway, sneaking them in your backpack, and you got a 2-liter of Pepsi. Come on, no, that's not what you're doing. I mean, if you have legitimate concerns, you need to stay hydrated, or like bring in little packets of like those Mio for like to keep your electrolytes, keep your energy up, and maybe you buy bottled water there once you get in. Things of that nature. I mean, just be mindful of yourself and also pace yourself out. Comic-Cons, we get in there, we're excited to check everything out. But guys, you have hours upon hours upon hours to walk around. And to check everything out. Don't just be in a rush. Take your time. If you're feeling a little woozy, take your time and do it right. It doesn't hurt to take a minute to yourself. At that one con I mentioned, I was so heavy that I had to, every 20 to 25 minutes, I had to try and sit down. And my flight suit it was not comfortable trying to sit down in that thing. You try sitting down with a proton pack on your back, you got to take it off first. But that's something that's very important, I think, is being aware of your limitations and being able to recognize like, hey, I'm starting to feel a little woozy. I need to sit down. I need to, I should get something to drink, or I need something to snack on to get my blood sugar up. Protein bars, things of that nature. Protein bars, there's different types of protein bars. There's even little protein cookies you can buy. I mean, they have to let you in if you have documentation, if you have a note, some kind of legal document from your doctor's office or medical personnel, things of that nature. Or I'm an asthmatic. I always carry my inhaler with me because you just never know when you're going to have an episode. If you're diabetic, there's little diabetic meters you can carry with you. Again, blood sugar, that is a big thing, and staying hydrated because one, you're doing a lot of walking. Maybe you're going upstairs, elevators, whatever the case may be. Fan Expo is a massive place. There's a couple buildings. New York City Comic-Con, that's another massive one. But even if you're not in a massive one, I've been to cons where it is a small building and it is hot as hell. Mm-hmm. You gotta keep in mind that it's not just the costume you might be wearing, but it's everyone else in the damn building. Think about in the shopping malls around the holidays, right? Wintertime here in Buffalo, you're wearing probably 2 or 3 different layers of clothes because let's be honest, it's Buffalo. In the wintertime, you're at a shopping mall, you have to take your coat off because you're roasting. You're probably down to t-shirts and shorts for the most part. So imagine that is because the combined body heat of every damn person in that building. Same thing with Comic-Con. All those people are roasting. Their body temperatures are going up. It's radiated heat, basically. Yes, if you turn on your stove, you got a frying pan on there. Heat will emit off of that frying pan, even if you're not touching it. heat is a big thing, so just be mindful of that. Roger, you have anything to add about that?
Actually, yes, I do, sir. There's always uh issues with accessibility at cons.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to combat that, if you have something like a wheelchair or a scooter or something, is you should know where the entrances are, or is going to be, that they're going to be having you go into.
Mm-hmm.
I've had issues more than once with being separated from other members of my party who were in a wheelchair, and things did not go well between I and security that day. And for me,
Yeah.
it ruined a good chunk of the day because they didn't know what they were doing in that case. So, um, so knowing your pathing and knowing how you want to go through the con, um, especially if you want to go through like haphazard and everything, have at it. I find it more enjoyable to go through like systematically.
Yeah.
I like going down like horizontal, and then I'll hit the vertical, and then then
And
kind of meander. And
that brings up a good point that I came up ahead of time. Communication is key. Sometimes Wi-Fi sucks. When I say sometimes, I mean always. Every con I've been to, there's been terrible, terrible reception, but not this time around. I went on Amazon and I bought me and my wife some radios. Normally
nice.
they have about a 3 mile radius in open and about mile to maybe mile and a half in a closed, congested city type area. So we're going to be testing these out at Fan Expo and seeing how well they communicate because we're splitting up.
It's a great idea because
She's
most of the con buildings are big concrete and steel
yeah,
convention centers. And even if you can get a signal, something like Niagara Falls Comic Con, you might not
yeah.
have the service.
And something like this, what's cool about these are one, I mean, there's a we got a flashlight on this, which is kind of cool. So if you drop something in like a dark area, like under a table, you can just kind of like, oh, there we go. You got your flashlight built into here. This has works as a scanner, weather service. So like we are camping or hiking, it picks up that. There's also a call feature on here. So I can click call and it'll ring her receiver, her walkie. So you can literally call someone to pick up as long as you're on the right channels. So that's going to be something we're going to be testing out this weekend. But I think that is a tremendous idea. I did look at some ones that were almost all radios in a condensed area. You're probably talking about maybe 3 to 2, maybe about a mile reception wise. I saw radios going for like $60 for a pair, which wasn't bad, but they have a 32-mile range in open areas like hiking, forests, things of that nature. Once you get into a heavy populated area that has tons of radio signals, electronic signals, that cuts that down to about a mile to a mile and a half. So why pay 70, 80, $100 for something like that if I'm getting the same kind of range on a $30 one? So that's kind of what we're going with. So I think that's key. And also I put choose meetup locations. Take a look at your map. Now this is what I'm doing. Fan Expo has their own app. Not every con has their own app. The best you can do if they don't have an app is go onto their website. They usually have a floor plan maybe a week or two beforehand, right? Take a screenshot with your computer or your cell phone, save it in your gallery. So when your phone is offline, if you can't pick up any cell activity, Wi-Fi's crap, you at least have the actual map on your phone so you can kind of see like, okay, we're trying to meet up here. Let me try and find my way to that section. Think of backup ways. I mean, yes, you could print them out on paper, but hard copy. Come on, who does that nowadays? But I mean, yeah, you have your cell phone. And speaking of cell phones, I'm always about plan Bs and backups. Power packs. Power packs are the way to go, guys. Excuse me for one moment. I just sneeze.
Bless you.
We have power packs. So I have several. Okay. And it doesn't hurt to have one that maybe has multiple USB ports. Maybe you're sitting down and you're just relaxing for a little bit. Maybe you have someone else in your group, or maybe a stranger is looking, they're scrambling for some outlet to plug into. Well, you can share, you got a couple outlets, share them, And also it's a great way to kind of meet other people at cons too. To talk with them, conversate with them. Me, because obviously the YouTube channel, I'm going to be recording the entire time. I'm going to have my GoPro. I'm going to be using my cell phone. I need to charge. So it never hurts to have multiple battery packs with you guys. Okay. Never hurts to have multiple battery packs. I mean, that's the name of the game. Even if I use all three of my batteries on my GoPro, I can then charge. I can take the adapt. I have my charger and just plug that in one of these bad boys. Maybe this one with the Ghostbusters trap on it. I don't know. And start charging up, because you're going to be there all day. You're going to be in a place probably about 8 hours, maybe 6 hours. Some people, right? And you got to think that one, you're going to be taking pictures. You're going to be taking pictures, taking video, and you're going to run out of power very quickly. And maybe you won't. Maybe you do have somewhat of a signal, and you're trying to send a message through Instagram or through Facebook Messenger, which I highly don't recommend, guys. Your best bet is probably going to be just a standard text message. Don't start uploading pictures. Just send a simple text message to your party to meet you somewhere. Because if you're trying to send a picture, that's going to take longer and longer and longer. Yes.
Some things to be prepared with.
Well, yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second. Mrs. Dimension wanted to point out things to be prepared with, like take some Tylenol if you're having headaches or feverish or you're not feeling well. Hand sanitizer.
If you're feverish and not feeling well, please stay home.
Yeah, we don't want the Backstreet Boy reunion tour. Those who are on YouTube know what that is code for, okay? But another thing is, where is it now? Let me just remove that other one. Hygiene. Okay? Hygiene is a big thing. Without, like we were just saying about the combined body temperatures raise up. I'm not just going to use deodorant that day. I'm taking a stick with me in my backpack. It's always good every hour or so, dip into a bathroom, into a stall, and just kind of freshen yourself up. You're going to be sweating. That is a point of fact when it comes to a Comic-Con. You're going to be roasting and toasting like there's no tomorrow. So that's always one thing to take in mind, is to be in either that or like a scented wipe, something that's not overpowering. Another thing I would say is, on the polar opposite, on the flip side of that, don't just drown your body in cologne and perfume. That's going to be even worse. You're going to smell even worse over time. But also a lot of businesses, think of if you're working in an office, right? A lot of like this one company I used to work for almost 10 years had a bathroom that was neutral scented. If you wore strong perfumes, you are not allowed to use that restroom, because there are some people that have strong allergies to certain scents and smells. So that's another thing, is don't just cover yourself in Axe body spray. You're not Tony Stark. Okay. Be conscientious, just take some deodorant with you. One, it's going to help you stay a little bit fresher and cooler, and everyone around you is going to thank you for it. Everybody and their grandmother will thank you for it in the long run. So, I mean, those are some things to keep in mind. And yes, if you're someone that, maybe if you're going to go somewhere all day, make sure any medicine you might need is going to be with you. I take multivitamins, so I'm going to have my multivitamins on me, obviously. If you're diabetic, make sure you have your diabetic meds with you. You might have something that spikes your sugar and you need to calm down, or, little things like that. If you're a heart patient, make sure you have your nitro pills or whatever you're on with you. Maybe crowded places are not your bag, right? So maybe, if you are prescribed certain substances. You know, there are sprays, there are different ointments that people will use to, you know, to kind of calm their body, their aches and pains, and also their nerves at times. So some now, what's really cool is haven't seen this at a con, but I've seen it at a few festivals and carnivals where they will have a like a sensory room where, like, if all the loudness, all the bright lights, all the chaos is too much for you, to kind of like you can go there, remove yourself, and kind of quiet down, kind of slow things down so it's easier for you. Think of anyone who might be on a spectrum, anyone who might be on any level of autism. Sometimes too much input can overload you, and that's when you know, a person can lose control, whether they're a 5-year-old or a 55-year-old. It can happen. um Honestly, my wife does not always like, she's not a big fan of large crowds. She can take it in doses, but that's about it. You know, sometimes, you know, waiting in line for an autograph is a great way to kind of slow that down. So if you're at a con and there is no kind of sensory, I don't want to say deprivation, but like a sensory room to kind of slow things or calm things down, sometimes waiting in line, because you're not surrounded, being bombarded by all these sounds and chaos. You have someone in front of you, someone behind you, and it's kind of mellow, right? For the most part, you're probably kept to yourself, and that's a way to kind of like de-escalate things at times, I think. But yeah, I mean, that's something that, you know, sorry guys, you know, BO is a real thing, and trust me, I've been in a few cons where a few people came off pretty damn ripe. So, I mean, you help yourself out, you help, like I myself, the costume, the cosplay I'm doing is basically me. I'm wearing blue jeans, my sneakers, a yellow t-shirt, and a sleeveless red hoodie. I did that on purpose so that I would be a little bit cooler this year. You know, uh, previous years I've done Doctor Who, like I've said, and I like to do Ghostbusters all the time. Let's be honest. Those who know me know that I do that all the time. But trust me, rocking a flight suit and like a 55-pound to 60-pound proton pack on your back is not always the greatest thing. You'll roast like there's no tomorrow. Breathability. I mean, be mindful. I mean, it's great if you want to do a big, massive cosplay, but you know, unless you can build in some fans or have some ice packs in there, it might not be the greatest thing ever.
Well, also, if I may, if you're cosplaying, remember you're going to be carrying everything with you
Mm-hmm.
all day. That 5 pound prop turns into 50 pounds after 7 hours. So you're going to be carrying everything that you brought with you, unless you go back to your car and take stuff off or whatever, which
Exactly.
nobody wants to do. So if you're bringing, you know, there's some cosplay professionals that come for the contest and everything, and they have a great time. They have fantastic costumes.
And they usually
Um,
have people pushing like totes, big, large rolling totes with all their gear in it too.
yeah, they have a crew.
And they dress
The
up
guys
for
you've
for a short
seen,
while and then they get out.
yeah, the guys you've seen like Soundwave,
Oh yeah.
who was amazing, and the little boy Optimus Prime was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But they
I
need a
mean,
quick way to get out of those as well, because they can't stay in those for seven or
yeah.
eight
I mean, and
hours.
that's another thing. If you're doing cosplay, you have to have a system. If you're by yourself, more power to you. But if you're going to be by yourself or you just have a friend with you, have a system on how you can get out of your cosplay as quickly as possible. Let's say there's a bathroom emergency, heaven forbid, but it happens. You got to have a way to kind of like, you know, like me when I'm doing my ghost busting. I get my proton pack off. Maybe I'll have my proton pack at a table with some friends, and I'm just in my suit. You know, I have a certain way where I can pull off my sleeves real quick, drop it, and I can, you know, get functional and out of my jumpsuits, you know. But that's the thing. Some people are doing these massive suits where it's like there's two or three people to help you put it on.
Mhm.
Or again, I actually saw someone who had this large they had like a helmet of some kind, like a big head, excuse me, USB-C powered fans inside. One of the smartest things I think I've ever seen is just have to be mindful of everything, guys. But I also want to say this, speaking of being mindful, be mindful of others. If you're in a cosplay, especially a large one, be mindful of who's around you. You know, you don't want to bump into someone. Proton packs. I know I'm talking Ghostbusters, guys. I apologize. But a proton pack, you have no idea how many times I have spun around and either broke a wand to the side of a wall, like a doorway, or I actually bumped into someone because the wands are at an angle, they're not straight down. If you're in a cosplay, be mindful of people around you. And if you're not, be mindful of those who are in cosplay. You know, I'm not saying you have to, they have the right of way, but just be mindful if somebody's coming through, or if you're trying to get from point A to point B real quick, I kind of revert to holiday shopping mode in the shopping center. That's what I think. Like, I will turn myself sideways. I do rapid walking, but I'm looking where I'm going to. Be careful you're not gonna, knock into someone who's carrying a shopping bag. Because I myself, I have a really huge backpack that I carry for buying stuff and storing stuff. That's just me. But some people they're carrying, they don't do that. They might have a tote bag, or they might have a large shopping bag that's where all their merchandise that they're buying at the con is being placed. You kind of have to be mindful of everyone around you, and also that goes not just for being mindful of yourself and bumping into people, but what if someone is in need? You see someone who looks like they're about to pass out, someone who's sweating profusely, someone maybe they're white as a sheet. They look like they're about to be death. You could be that person that steps up and, hey, do you need help? Hey, oh, I have a bottle of water here. Here, drink some water. You never know. There could be that one time when someone is in dire straits. No one else is paying attention to them, but you see that person. You could be the difference between that person, getting rushed to a hospital, or getting a little bit of relief and kind of getting them back in the right frame of mind, physically and mentally or physically. These are things that happen. Like I said, people are in heavy costumes, they start to get passed out, or you just see someone sitting on the side. A lot of things can happen, guys. So don't just, oh, that person's probably just in makeup. It doesn't hurt to take 5 seconds to ask, hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? You kind of you didn't look too well. I just want to make sure you're okay. That goes a long way. Okay. It doesn't hurt to just take those 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and just check on someone, right?
May I add something, Dave?
No, you may not. Yes, come on. Go ahead.
I would like to also add that please be mindful of the people that are physically lower than you. Children, people that might be in wheelchairs. There was more than one time during just this past Nickel City Con, I helped some individuals that were in chairs because they were basically they were corralled by the crowd, so they couldn't get out. So me being 6'1" and not a small dude, I'm like, follow me.
Yeah, my buddy Dre here. Him and his family went to GalaxyCon recently. And he told me they did not have the greatest time ever. They still had fun family time, but like he says, we've attended cons with a toddler in and out of a stroller. So yeah, like you said, it's not easy. Just like there he goes. Actually, makes us pause, take pause right now because others don't care to be mindful. It really does. Also, having a wife who is not a lover of crowds and a teen daughter who gets overstimulated by crowds and loud noise, like we were just talking about just a moment ago. Yeah, I mean, those things. A lot of people like when I
Also, a lot of those things can be solved by going on the right day.
Yes.
If you go on a Friday afternoon when the con opens,
it's
a
it's
lot of those
insanity.
issues are much less pressing.
Prevalent? Okay. Yeah, because probably
Um,
people are still working.
People are still working. You don't have the Saturday afternoon crowd where you're going to have
Yep.
6,000 people jammed in this
Just like you were
500,000 square
mentioning
foot
earlier,
building. Yeah.
exits and safe places, just like you said earlier. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's definitely a thing. I mean, you guys, you're always hearing me say doing research, research, research. That is a big thing. Okay. Research is never a bad thing. Okay. Where is it now? Here we go. Cons. Let me just fix this real quick. There we go. So this one, every con is different. Always do your research and search their FAQ, which stands for frequently asked questions, about food, accessibilities, props, and more. You know, some cons will have a very strict policy on props. You know, if you're dressing up as a ninja, you know, Lord of the Rings, they want to make sure that you're not going to be pulling out a sword. You know, usually they want them tied down, or they might not even let stuff in. Several years back, there was an infamous situation at a Texas con involving, you know, the late Jason David Frank. A guy was coming in, he had like a duffel bag, and it was actually filled with guns. He was going to actually attack him. And that's when a couple cons started cracking down more on stuff. Like usually, if you have like this is one 3D printed gun my wife was going to use before we did the gold one. If you notice, we have orange painted on the inside because with toy guns, that's why they have a usually like a little tube, or the barrel has orange on it, so you can tell that it's a toy and not something real. I mean, from a distance, you might think this is a real gun. It is not. It is fully 3D printed. I mean, you can even see some of the lines right there from the 3D print itself. You know, but if you're someone who's pulling this out, they see this, they don't see the orange in there. They won't know any better. You know, same thing with a lot of airsoft guns. You have to be mindful with that. But that's just one level. Do your research. Ask, you know, if you're a content creator out there, it doesn't hurt to email the con early if you want credentials, in case you want to, maybe there's someone who's coming, you would really love to interview them for your channel. You know, things of that nature. It doesn't hurt to email them early on. It never hurts to email them all. You can email them a week before. Of course, the likelihood of getting a response in a timely fashion is going to reduce tremendously. But as soon as a con is announced, you can start emailing them so that you know what their guidelines currently are. You know, do they allow food? Do they have, you know, how many different exits do they have for if you're like Roger was saying, like if you're in a wheelchair, a walker, if you have any kind of mobility issues, you know, like the little hover rounds, the little scooters, you know, do they allow entrance, and how many different entrances and exits are available? You know,
And
if you're
elevators.
elevators, also what, you know, not just do they have elevators, but what are the clearance
Mhm.
as far as the doors? You know, some person might be, you know, someone might be a smaller frame in a small wheelchair, some might be in a larger wheelchair. You know, you might be, you know, you could be 7'2" and on crutches or in a walker of some kind. You know, maybe you have, you know, poor stance in your legs, and but you use crutches, so you want to make sure you have plenty of clearance walking through, because usually when you're going into an elevator, there's about 20 other people all stampeding into the elevator too. So those are realistic questions. What are the first aid stations? I think that's another important one. You know, if you know, you have to kind of know, and there we go. I'm gonna catch up here. Go exit spaces. He is 100% right, knowing the schedule and how to get around, definitely. Uh, I too am 6'1", not a small guy. That's why he and I are brothers. Uh, but crowds don't bother me as much. And finally, Dre was, nope, Plan. Knowing what you want to do and where things are makes things easier. Be mindful of your wallet and theft. That's another thing. Cons. Now you might think, what, your wallet? Well, I have my card, or hey, I have everything on my phone. Well, how many times do you forget where you put your phone in, during the course of one friggin' day, people? That's another thing. If you have your phone, maybe you keep it in a pocket, inside of a jacket or something, or in your bag, but always keep your bag with you. You know, things of that nature. I mean, hell, years ago, everyone and grandmother used to have the wallets with the chains to
It's a
to,
Comic
to
Con. Don't be afraid of the fanny pack.
yeah. Yeah, see? And hey, Deadpool wore a
We're
fanny pack
all
a couple
nerds
times.
there.
Exactly. I walk with a cane walker, so use your big boy big girl voice. Don't be afraid
Yep.
to say move. Don't be afraid to I mean,
For the young lady, I have to say, I did start going beep, beep, beep as we were walking through the crowd because it was a
let's see.
very,
Dre
very
says
packed
I would
crowd.
use a fanny pack at Disney. LOL, a must have. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's a thing. I will say this though, going back to some of our hot points is autograph tables. They are almost 99.9% of the time they are going to be cash.
Yep.
So plan ahead. Most vendors will run credit cards, PayPal, Venmo. They have little Foursquare devices where you just tap your card and they do the transactions. Sometimes if those are not working, if with their limited cell reception, they'll ask you to enter in your, hey, what is your PayPal? And you can do it that way. Um, those are things to keep in mind. I plan to have cash only for autographs. Okay. Now, if you're someone like me in the US going over to Canada, the exchange rate, guys, you have to be mindful of that. But I did have it once where I got some Doctor Who Funkos at a lower price because I did have American cash.
Yeah.
So that's one thing to keep in mind. If you're going to a con that is outside of your states, or you're like, say, hell, you could be in Texas and going over to Mexico for a con down there. I just wouldn't drink the water. Here in the US, you're going over to Canada, or you're Canada coming over to the US. Be mindful of that because if you're coming over from Canada over to the US, we're not used to Canadian currency. Okay. So at your duty free stores, or here we have the outlet mall. We can go to the outlet mall and exchange our American currency for Canadian currency and vice versa. Places like that, get your money exchanged. That way you have the local currency. You're not going to have to like, oh geez, I'm going to have to Google what's the exchange rate. And heaven forbid you don't have cell reception, And that's another thing. Speaking of cells, a lot of times, no matter who your freaking cell provider is, you will be roaming. So that's why I plan to have my phone on airplane mode to conserve trying to search for data and Wi-Fi. And another reason why we got these little bad boys, so we can just communicate through this and not have to worry about roaming charges, people. Roaming charges are a thing. So that's the thing. Regardless of whether you're going to a con in the US or Canada, you're going to be in a poor reception. Regardless, I swear to God, you will be in a poor reception. You send a text message, and 45 minutes later, that person receives it. Those are realistic things. So keep that in mind. But that's the thing. Like, don't take all your credit cards with you. Okay. What I plan on doing is I'm gonna have cash for some autographs, right? And maybe the odd vendor who might not take a credit card, and then I'm just gonna have one card with me. I'm leaving everything else at home. All my other cards, I'm leaving them at home. I'm not taking all my cards with me. Heaven forbid my wallet goes. Now every single card is missing. My driver's license, everything else. It can be a big conundrum, guys. So that's one thing to keep in mind. You don't carry everything with you, you know. And plus, if you're only carrying like cash, maybe you have your cash ID, maybe a little money clip, in a pocket, or they have some cell phone cases
Fanny
where,
pack.
huh? Fanny
Fanny
pack.
pack.
Fanny pack.
Fanny
Fanny pack.
pack.
You know, hey, especially you get that hot pink one with like the Zuba print on it. There you go.
I don't care. It's holding my stuff.
But
My
I mean,
daughter always complained, I don't have pockets. I don't have pockets. I'm like, I have a fanny pack.
I am a pocket.
I've
That's
got
what you tell her.
all the pockets. And she asked me to hold all her stuff.
See
But
that. See that.
if I may add, as far as the cash goes, when you go over to Niagara Falls, if they have a tendency that their ATMs run out of money,
Oh yes.
which is funny since it's held in the Scotiabank Center.
Yeah.
That always struck me as the
Oh yeah.
biggest irony that all of their ATMs are out of money and it's at the Scotiabank Center. But
Yeah. We were talking about
most
that earlier, Dre. Take breaks. It's a great way to regroup and take a little mental, physical break. But yeah, it's no, that's a real thing in Canada, is running like you said, the ATMs.
yeah,
Um,
but
I
most of the if you look at the site, most sites will have, or most cons will have a part in their site that'll show what all of the uh entertainers charge for the autographs.
yes,
So you could say so and so's charging $50, so and so's charging this, with this as also as a table photo, and this is a combo. So you can plan how much cash you take.
yeah, just to show you guys, Fan Expo's website right here. Now, what Roger's saying is like here, you can plan your visits. They have all these tabs. Most cons, most of the larger cons will have that, like appearances, photo ops. You want to check the pricing on photo ops? You click on various people, and you can get that information. Here's some of their FAQs. Uh, let me see. Here's where was it? Cosplay guests. You know, you can schedules. Um, Schedules are always going to be haphazard when it comes to the actual guests because they do occasional photo ops. Sometimes they do single photo ops and sometimes they do group photo ops. So I've seen it in Fan Expo. You have someone there for about 30, 45 minutes, then they're pulled away. Either they're taking a break or they're being pulled away to do a photo op. So you could literally be in line all day long for someone. So like celebrities, okay, let's say, okay, Josh Gad. A friend of mine wants his autograph because he was the voice of Muncher from Ghostbusters Afterlife. So here you can check out their bio. Let's see here, photo ops. See, right now they're only listing the photo op price, which is annoying because on their website, you know, here they show you Canadian 120. So mind you, US right now, if I go on the app on my phone, it will actually show me in US currency, which is hilarious. But they're not showing it on Canadian website, which is kind of funny. But that's the thing. Some cons, they have their websites, they have their apps, right? I'm going to pull that up. We're going to see, okay, autographs. Now I'm going to scroll, and as soon as this loads, let's see here. Now it's not loading properly, so let me just go to guess. Josh Gad, I'm going to find him very quickly and see what it says. Okay, so for him, okay, standard autograph is $100. I don't know how well you guys can see that. $100. So that shows you the difference right there. $20 difference, right there, based on that. So if you're going to a con and they have an app, I highly recommend downloading it. It's going to save you in the long run, like you wouldn't believe. Like I said, they have their floor plan. There's a mobile app, schedule. Maybe you want to book hotels. You know, I'm sure they get a little upcharge with that.
It's
So
also good to know when what celebrity guests, if you want to attend um
panels,
any of their panels, a lot of times they'll have the guest panel schedule so you can plan which day you want to go.
yes. And that's one good thing about Fan Expo. They definitely have their ducks in a row because they do have uh, panels. So if you want to shop, you want to buy extra experiences. Honestly, in my opinion, paying for like the passes, I mean, you do get priority over everybody else, but honestly, that's more money you could be using towards souvenirs and everything, you know? So I'm kind of the mindset like, here, here's your floor plan. You got your Squishmallows, you got retails, Retro Kid. I'm probably gonna be checking that out. Prime. Oh, those who are into Roosevelt's,
Oh,
they're gonna have a stand there. I might tell my buddy. Paramount Plus is gonna be there. I mean, this is just right off the website, AMD. You can zoom in and see what they have. See, that's the one thing I'm not too psyched about is their food court's just right here. They have one food court and that's it. Unless what's this? Is this a they have another food court. Okay, that's good. They have one food court at one end, one food court at another end. So that's good. They have a community alley. Um, there you go. Wheelchair accessibles. I believe those are that's gonna be the elevator right there. And
yeah.
probably I want to say this is probably uh, wheelchair accessible bathroom, community alley. Uh, to me, I find that a little bit narrow, but that's how they have everything. But see, that's another thing. Take a picture, download this. Like here, I can just go ahead and save. Bada boom. I have this saved as an image. I can send this to myself on my phone. I have it on my phone, guys. It's that simple. It's literally that simple. All the information you want is going to be on their website, whether it's Fan Expo, whether it's Nickel City Comic Con, whether it's Niagara Falls Comic Con, whether
You
it's
can never ever ever count on Wi-Fi or getting a signal at a con
exactly
ever. I always take photos of pretty much all of the site and put it on my phones, including the schedules, pricings, and the map.
podcast, Cosplay Alliance. If you're part of different groups, you want to meet up with people, they have this organized. I mean, obviously they know what they're doing. You know, since Wizard World or Wizard Con isn't really a thing anymore, Fan Expo seems to be the next big dog in the group, kind of them and Dragon Con. But I mean, that's just one example of what you have there. You
Mhm.
know, again, we can't stress doing research. I had to use. I used to hit the con circuit, and I knew each city I was in because non-con goers will be rude and drunk. That goes back to what I said before about being courteous, being mindful of everyone. Because that person, it's the whole Peter Parker thing. It's the whole Spider-Man thing. Hey, it's not my problem, and then that person winds up and unaliving your Uncle Ben. You know, you just never know what can happen. That person who you kind of like, just kind of like scuffed at or like threw your nose at them, they could be the person who's checking on you right when you're about to pass out. So, I mean, there are people. Yes, there's going to be a ton of people who are the uninitiated who are just there because they thought it would be something cool. It's like going to the mall for them for the day. It's like going to a theme park. They don't know any better, okay? But they don't know any better, and you shouldn't let that necessarily ruin the experience for you. But sometimes it does. It's easier said than done. Um, see here, big cons: C2E2, SDCC, NYCC, Mega Con Orlando, and Dragon Con. Well, and then I'm going to say Fan Expo. Dre's one of my friends who apparently goes to all the cons. Legion Con, which is another one, those who are toy collectors and into mythic and cosmic legions. You got the Legion Con that I think is happening in Jersey sometime later this year. So yeah, there's a lot of big industry cons. But it doesn't excuse, I mean, be mindful of where you are. Be mindful of people around you. There is a good and bad. And with that being said, I want to bring up something that is something I take personal, which is cosplay is not consent. Ask if it's okay to take a picture or to pose with a cosplayer. Just because you feel comfortable doesn't mean they feel comfortable. Okay. Um, I'll be perfectly honest. True story. I'm not making this up. I was at somewhere and I was dressed in cosplay, and my wife was a couple of feet away from me, and somebody actually came up behind, wanted to take a picture. I said, sure. But they decided to cup my buttocks. And my wife is just like looking
How
like,
many times do I have to apologize for that, Dave?
well, I said my buttocks, not the front. But I mean, that's the thing. Cosplay is not consent goes for both males and females, and transgenders or undeclared genders. Whatever side of the street you walk, listen, one, I'm going to tell you this straight. One, it's just polite to ask, hey, would you mind if I take a picture with you? We see people taking pictures from a distance all the time. I always say, hey, would you mind? Would it be okay if I took a picture? Because one, this is a little piece of I guess what's the right word I'm looking for? It's a piece of, I don't want to say my ideology, but maybe just the way I was kind of brought up, just the way I came up was, it's always nicer to ask. Jobs I've had, if you ask someone, hey, would you mind doing this for me? Would you mind helping us out by doing, taking out this trash or helping us clear this table? Asking someone, they're 9 to 10 times more likely to do it and to do it better and feel better about themselves because they're asked to instead of being told to. When it comes to cosplayers, asking someone, hey, would you mind if I take a picture with you? Or hey, can I take a picture of you? That makes them feel awesome because they're like, wow, this person must love my outfit.
99% of
That's
the time, they're going to be thrilled.
they're going to be blown away, and it helps, and it gives them a little bit more self-esteem. This could be a person who is their first con or their first cosplay. Maybe they, this is them stepping out of their normal shoes, stepping out of
You'll get people that
normal safe place.
are dressed up in a nice elaborate costume, and they're carrying a couple shopping bags, and you're like, can I take a picture? And they'll be thrilled to be like, oh yeah, let me get ready.
Yeah.
So they'll put down all your stuff, and you're like, oh, I would have just been happy. And they're nope. And then they'll get into their pose, and they'll pose for you, and they'll be so thrilled that you were happy to see them and that you wanted to
Yes.
take their picture.
My
Always
first,
ask 99% of the time, unless they're so exhausted it's the end of the day, they're going to be thrilled to take a
yes.
picture with
Well,
you or
even then, they,
from you.
they're still gonna feel, they're gonna have a good feeling, even though
Oh
they might
yeah.
not look it. The first con I did a cosplay at, this is before I joined the group that I'm part of. I did Back to the Future cosplay, and so I was with some friends, and this woman comes up. She says, "My son wants to take a picture with you. Would you mind?" I'm like, "Sure." I'm thinking like this. This is just awesome. The kid is in a little Ghostbuster outfit, and I'm like, this is awesome. Kid even says, "I want to be just like you." I'm like, this is pulling on the heartstrings. I'm hooked. I'm definitely gonna be cosplaying the rest of my life. And then the mother asks, "Where are you set up?" I'm not set up anywhere. I'm just a guest just like you. But that was the best. That was the best feeling ever. That's the first time someone asked to want to take a photo with me. And I will never forget that story as long as I live. But it leaves that kind of feeling like something like later on that day, I posed with someone who was doing a lady version of Ash from Evil Dead. I still have that photo. I mean, it's like, those, sometimes you get some amazing photos, like posed with Blade at Nickel City Con last year, not this past year, but the year before. Like you mentioned before, Soundwave. There's some amazing cosplays, and sometimes these are cosplays that are just made from scraps. Some people make them out of cardboard and they paint them, reinforce them with wire and styrofoam and just all kinds of stuff, but they make something amazing.
Ingenuity is the core of cosplay.
Definitely. I mean, I always tell people the only limitation is your imagination.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a buddy of mine who does props and also works for I think he's working Frightmare this year or something. I think that might be the place he's working at. Does a lot of special effects and stuff. He always told me, listen, there is no mistakes. There's no mistakes when it comes to a prop. For Ghostbusters, it's battle damage. You can't tell me a ghost or a specter isn't going to toss the Ghostbuster around, or proton pack's going to get all banged up and maybe some electrical tape holding stuff together. We saw that with Ghostbusters Afterlife. You could be an Iron Man suit. Oh, it's ruined out. No, it's battle damage. You know, he always tells me when there's scratches, there's scuffs, there's weathering, there's wear and tear. It tells a story. You know, does Tony Stark have a clean suit, clean Iron Man armor every time? No. Some of them are a little bit beat up and scratched up and reused. You know, it tells a story to it. You know, and I think that's one of the greatest things is, you know, it's not ruined, it's patched. You've been through, you've been through hell and back. A loose thread or a tear. Well, if you're Doctor Who, you've been battling Daleks or Cybermen. There you go. You're Batman. Well, you've been fighting criminals all night in Gotham City. You know, Superman. Well, hell, you just came back came back to Earth after knocking a meteor into the sun. I mean, whatever cosplay you're doing, there's a story to it, and there are no mistakes. My cosplay I'm doing for Fan Expo, it is Captain N like 25 years later. you know he doesn't have the varsity jacket anymore. He's got a red hoodie. He put on a few pounds, and the power glove isn't exactly a glove anymore. It's more like part of his sleeve is hooked up to a fingerless glove. He did some upgrades over the years. It's all about imagination, but it's also about having fun. Hell, Fan Expo, it's the only time you're going to see Doctor Who, a Marty McFly, and Indiana Jones in the same cosplay picture. It's just a great time. And if you do your research, you be mindful of people around you, you'll have a blast.
The key word, play.
Yes, cosplay.
Play is the thing to remember. No one's judging you at a con for what you're wearing. I wore a Charlie Brown Hawaiian shirt, and basically people's like, "Oh, you're Charlie Brown and aged up."
Yeah, you grew hair.
Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, sure. I've seen some stuff." But people aren't judging. Most of the time, you're gonna get complimented on trying.
Yeah,
You're gonna get, and don't be afraid of complimenting people for trying, for doing a good job. You don't always have to ask for a photo or something, but if you see something that someone did that looks particularly awesome, tell them about it. They will almost always be ecstatic.
When we were at Fan Expo the last time, which was a couple years ago, we were taking a little break by like the concession stands, and we met this awesome couple. Forgot, it was the husband was doing an Oswald Cobblepot penguin, but he was doing like a penguin that was almost like a cross between Gotham and the 1960s, the 66 Burgess Meredith.
Ooh.
Just an awesome we spent about maybe 25, almost half hour talking with them. There's some people that their cosplays are just amazing. I mean, when I did my first cosplay, it was the 35th anniversary of Ghostbusters, and also Christopher Lloyd was coming to Niagara Falls Comic Cons. Now, I remembered in high school reading a fan fiction online of what if Doc Brown and Ray Stantz, working in the private sector, actually worked together, and what if they actually got together and worked on a proton pack. And that was my concept, was like, nobody's ever come up with this before. At the time, people have done it since then, but I'm like, one, it was my first time cosplaying. I'm kind of going through like a midlife crisis. I think I was like 38 at the time. I said, screw it, I'm going to do this. I'm going to meet Doc Brown and Ghostbusters, so let's see what happens. So many people wanted to take pictures with the proton pack. more than with me, and I was fine with that because it was this thing that I made. This totally, no one would have imagined it in a million years, and it's now sitting in a collector's shop down south because I actually sold it a couple years ago to fund something else I was trying to do. But I mean, no one. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, well, what if? Who would have thought? Like, what if Doc Brown actually worked with the Ghostbusters and made a proton pack? What would that look like? And my crazy ass brain came up with that, and just it took me several months to build, but it was something, and tons of people were just like blown away by it. They're like, "Hey, can I take a picture?" I'm like, "Yeah, please, by all means." And that's the thing, imagination. You never know where your imagination is going to take you. You know. Um,
You
but
also
that's
don't
the
know what else you're going to inspire in someone else to do,
oh yeah,
because creativity inspires creativity.
yes. Well, there's a when I worked retail, they used to make us watch this really terrible video, and the title of it is "Behavior Breeds Behavior." This hapless shopper is being ignored by every single employee in the store until he climbs on a roof and he's about to jump off. And everyone's blown away by this. And the store manager comes to him and asks him the story. He tells how this person ignored him. This person was like, whatever. This one had attitude. Da, 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 da. And you know, they're all just like, you know, like gobsmacked, but like, oh, I can't believe that this has happened. This person's going to kill himself. The person stands up. He was a secret shopper the entire time. And it was actually played by the uncle of Harry Potter, the guy who played the uncle in the Harry Potter movies. And when I worked for Lord and Taylor, they would make us watch that video every year.
I'm
And
sorry, I'm actually crying a little now.
but it goes to show you behavior breeds behavior. If someone is being negative, they're going to cause that negativity to rub onto other people. Just like when you do things positive, you do something positive, that someone's going to take that positivity and they're going to want to roll with it, and that's going to roll, you know, they're going to roll onto it with someone else. You know, it's the whole pay it forward situation. And that's the thing, if you're having fun, other people are going to have fun. Someone sees that someone's having fun, or like you said, they inspire. You see someone in an Iron Man costume or Soundwave, uh Megatron, or you know, someone's rocking a Chewbacca outfit and he's rocking the you know, the Wookiee roar like perfect. I mean, you're like, wow, that's awesome. I would love to do that someday. Don't just make it someday. Make it next week. Make it 3 months from now. You know, plan it out. Take your time and do it right. You know.
Even if it's someone that did something simple, they put on a
Yeah.
Freddy glove and a fedora and
Yeah.
marked up their face a little bit. They made an effort,
I mean,
and that effort is noticed by everyone there because that's what everyone there is doing there.
definitely. I mean, even if you're, you know, like toy manufacturers now. Hasbro has a line of some cosplay type stuff, like with
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, Star Wars. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they've been doing, and other people are doing that too. I mean, Spirit Halloween, they run their website year round. Their stores aren't around year round, the brick and mortars. But I mean, that's the thing. Like now that Spirit Halloween is open, personally, like me, I have cosplays I have in mind, and I know I can buy stuff from there and modify the heck out of it. One time I bought a bunch of steampunk. I bought steampunk goggles and a bunch of cogs and stuff, and I used it for a Doctor Who cosplay the next year. You know, I mean, it's taking little things and just looking at it from a different angle and just having fun with it. But that's the thing; it's about having fun,
Yeah.
and there, like you said, there is no judging. No one's going to judge you if you think, "Hey, I'm too old." Bull. You
No
think you're
one's looking at you going, "Oh my God, you're too old to be Doctor Who."
too.
If they
I
are,
mean,
they don't belong there.
well, you've never seen Doctor Who if you think you're too old,
Well, okay. Yeah.
right?
Perfect example. Yeah.
I mean, that's a real thing right there.
There
Just
was one guy at this last Nickel City Con that had himself made up as Macho Man Randy Savage
oh,
and Hulk Hogan.
Trust me, buddy, a new friend I recently acquired through YouTube. He has done different Macho Mans,
Mhm.
like there's a whole multiverse of Macho Man cosplays out there.
Well, he was like half and half. So
Yeah,
He would monologue Macho Man, then turn and like monologue Hulk Hogan. Then
yeah. I mean, I've seen some
he
pretty
was
like.
quite good.
I mean, I saw someone that was like a Ric Flair kind of Hulk, like a Macho Man. There was a Macho Man Thor. He had the hammer and a big jar of Slim Jims. There's tons of different things. Like let me see. Let me pull this up. Share this. Let me remove that. Here was me a couple years ago. If I can pull this up, there we go. Me and Mrs. Dimension. She's in Clara. She's got Clara's leather coat, and here I am with my shirt and bow tie. I'm still a
Those
heavy
guys are
set
cool.
person. I'm still a heavy set person, but that's the thing. Like you can do different kind of cosplays. Um, Here we are in New York City at one of the Ghostbusters days. There's my gray flight suit, and she's dressed up as Lady Puff.
I
You know,
love her lady. I love her Lady Puff costume. I think it's so fun.
she has this one, and she also did a burnt Lady Puff.
I think
So
I've seen
there's a
both
burnt
of them
Stay
at this
Puff.
point.
Let's see here. She was Claire from Outlander. This is us before we did our surgeries. And by this time, I think I was around 450. Okay. I've been ghostbusting since I was probably close to 500 pounds. Um, Here I am again at the New York. There we are, right in front of the firehouse. Let me see if I can find some other cosplays. Yeah, here's like the steampunk thing I did. I painted the goggles, put like little gears on top of like clock gears on top of the helm, on top of the hat, blue
Mhm.
bow tie and everything. Just have fun with it, guys. You don't have to do anything tremendously insane.
You don't have to
You know,
cosplay as anyone specific.
yeah.
You can just come up with an idea.
Try and see if I can pull up here. My very first event.
I'm hoping to have a
v-
cosplay ready, my
Look,
first actual big cosplay for the next Nickel City Con
this
that
is
I'm
me
working
wearing a
on.
7X like coveralls with
Yeah.
3 belt extenders on my proton pack. Okay, 3 belt extenders. That's like the equivalent of having like maybe a 60 or 62, maybe a 64 waist. So if you think size matters, it doesn't. You can do a cosplay any size you want. So that is a real thing, guys. Size doesn't matter. Like there's the flex pack in front of the DeLorean. So I got to pose with that. That's the year I did the pose with Christopher Lloyd. So
I
I
got to
mean,
meet Leah Thompson at this. I was so happy.
I still have a crush on Leah Thompson. But I mean, that's the thing.
I
Like you can be a
have
heavy set
even
person,
more of
and
one now. She
oh yeah,
was the most lovely person.
I hear she's just completely amazing. But yeah, I mean, you can cosplay any size, you know. And like Christopher Lloyd, when I met him, he sounded like he was getting over a cold or something at the time. Mind you, this was like 2018 or 2019. Okay. But I met him. He was just awesome. He was doing rapid photos with people, so I really didn't get to talk to him. But I mean, just that's the thing. Just if you're going into it expecting to have a great time, you will. I think that's the most important thing.
What's really
Uh,
fun sometimes is when you talk to some of the celebrities as well,
oh yeah.
and you're just taken aback about how nice they are, as opposed to their characters. Doug Bradley, Pinhead from Hellraiser,
Oh, I hear he's awesome.
amazingly nice man.
Um, I'll say
Tony
this.
Todd from Candyman was one of the nicest men you could
I would love to
possibly
meet him
meet.
because I mean, not just Candyman, Final Destination.
Star
Star
Trek.
Trek, The Next Generation. He's Worf's
Yeah,
brother,
yeah.
Hearn.
Oh yeah, and he was so incredibly nice. We were staying in the same hotel.
Oh
We
wow.
used a bunch of points. It was like the Crown Plaza or whatever in Niagara Falls, and we're on the 13th floor. But after the ninth floor, you have to go into a different elevator, an old elevator, to get to the 13th floor. And
It
he
just had to
was
be the 13th floor, right?
Yeah, and he was staying up there too, and he's like, "So what'd you think? What do you think about that elevator?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're not too crazy about that thing." And it's kind of all he's like, "You know what? I'm Candyman, and that elevator scared the out of me." But he
But
also
yeah,
recognized my daughter the next day in line at
that's
the,
awesome.
and she was even in a different cosplay.
Um,
He's like, "Oh, how you doing today?" And, I mean, he
now
was so nice.
Dre mentions we all got compliments on our Bluey t-shirts we were wearing at GalaxyCon this year. I mean, sometimes it's you don't even have to do a cosplay. Gary
Yeah.
Oldman was the Uncle Sirius Black. Yeah. Let's see. They're affiliated. I stocked up on costume stuff of the years and used a lot of it at my wedding. Yeah, he's done. I think he. I'm trying to think. What was the one? Did he do Bishop one year? He recently got into Ghostbusters. He was at Ghostbusters Day this year with him and his fellow nerd affiliated members. Uh, Dre is working. My buddy Dre. I'm actually helping him with. We've been kind of brainstorming a crossover of Common Rider. There's. Are you familiar with Common Rider at all?
I'm not familiar with
It's
them.
it's it's kind of a Japanese Sentai.
Okay.
Okay, where they have these drivers, these like basically it's like a overlap, like a large technical belt buckle that they put a cartridge or some kind of key in, and it basically turns them into a hero known as
Okay.
riders. Okay, uh, there's one that deals with like a ghost, and we're doing a Ghostbuster Common Rider kind of themed project for him right now. That's
Yeah,
something
make
that
make sure
he's been working
you
on.
keep the Buster in there, or you're going for a different thing with Ghost and Rider.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, it was Bishop 2019.
Nice.
You definitely want to check out Nerd Affiliated on Instagram or Hey Archer on Instagram. He's got photos there. Him and his teammates, like the one rambling nerd, Anthony. He actually did. His whole thing is he covers his face, so nobody knows what he looks like on YouTube or any of his socials. So when they did New York City Comic Con last year, I missed them by one day. They What he did was he wore a Casey Jones mask, but he had it
Nice.
done up pretty professional by one of his friends. So it looked like it was steel, like it was brushed metal that's been worn and weathered, and it had the Ghostbuster logo on it. It looked insane. I mean, that's the thing. You mash something up. Nobody ever thought of that. Like, what if Casey Jones was a Ghostbuster? I mean, we've had Ghostbuster and Transformers crossover. We've had Ghostbusters and Ninja Turtles crossover. So I mean, there's tons of different things out there that people might not think of. Uh, I had my wife rolling because I told her next time we go to Disney, I'm dressing up as Macho Man with matching ears. Dre, there is a video of somebody as Macho Man going to Disney, and
Ooh,
like
yeah.
the security people at Disney actually like slapped him up, gave him five, and let him. I mean, it's the Macho Man, and I think he might have had ears. I'm gonna have to find that video and send it to you later. But I mean, that's the thing. You just have a little bit of fun. If you're not like built like John Cena, you can still have fun. I mean, I built like maybe 5 John Cenas in one body, but you can see me. But that's the thing. It's just about having fun and having a good time and not caring what anyone else thinks. One, they don't know you. I mean, it's like grade school all over again. So someone talks about your mother. Do they know your mother? No. Well then, they ain't got crap to say, right? Just go and have fun. Dre's like, a wife and I met Jason Mewes at Starbucks in Raleigh 2 years ago. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know you meet everybody. Did he say Snoochie Boochie? But yeah, that's the thing. It's cons. There's pluses and minuses. There's a lot of people that take advantage of cosplayers. They think they can do whatever they want. That's why we say cosplay is not consent. It's always good to ask. It's just polite. You were brought up to ask, right? Well then, I mean, would you want a cosplayer to come, like, hey, would you mind if I take a picture with you? And then they grab your butt. Would you want that to happen in front of your significant other? Probably not. It's happened though. That's the thing, is just go have a good time. Don't have any crazy expectations. If you have a great experience with a celebrity, all the better. Capaldi, we did the photo op with him, like I told you. And then later, a couple hours later, we're in line for hours. And I have a Doctor Who book, says how to be a Time Lord book. I have now I have his autograph. I have Paul McGann, number 8, and he was an awesome person. I spent like 20 minutes talking with him in Niagara Falls Comic Con years ago. That was my first con I went to. And Roxanne got Michelle Gomez, Missy, to autograph the book, but she got her to autograph with a purple Sharpie to make it even a little bit more special. Yeah. But he on my book, he wrote something like, never cruel or cowardly, run fast, laugh hard. He wrote this nice thing. But for my wife, she got a picture, one of his, like, his gloss photos at the table.
Mm-hmm.
He writes a friggin' novel on it. Like, imagine this is the photo, right? You have like this much of the photo you can see. Everything else is written on it. Like, because it was our wedding anniversary weekend. And, we had said, and he remembered us from earlier. And he said, he wrote this whole thing like, you two are meant to be. He writes this whole thing. He says, I know I'm the doctor. I've been to the future. I've seen everything. He wrote this big, amazing thing. She still has it hanging on the wall in our dining room. And, that's the thing. Those are the experiences you want. You want those experiences that it's amazing when it happens, and it's brings back that amazing feeling when you tell others about it. That's kind of Comic Con's about. Comic Con is basically, it's like interactive Halloween. You're not just wearing like a cheap mask and a plastic smock. I mean, you can dress however you want. You could be whoever you want. You want to be the Joker? Be the Joker. You want to be a muscular dude dressed up as Dora the Explorer? I see tons of those viral videos. Dress however you want. And the thing is, everyone accepts it. People will take, we all love movies. You love actors, and it's our chance to kind of play those roles, to be whoever we want to be, whether it's someone original or our favorite movie or TV show person. It's just a great time, and it kind of lets us suspend belief and just escape life for a good bit and spend a good chunk of our bank accounts. Oh, he says that video is what inspired it. Okay. The Macho Man video I mentioned. He had matching ears and has two sweeting everyone. Not sure what Dre meant. News was mad low at how long they were taking and talked to us for like 10 minutes. Okay. Probably when he was with Jason Mewes. But do you have any suggestions that we haven't gone over? Anything you could think of? Other than, pack lights. Be mindful of wherever you're going to the con, what kind of fees might the ATMs charge? Maybe have a good strong breakfast that day. Make sure you don't have any bathroom issues. Be mindful where the bathrooms are.
Yep.
If you're bringing little ones with you, especially if they're a toddler, maybe they're still in diapers. Maybe you want to see where, the diaper stations might be. See if there's any promotions. That's one thing I forgot to mention, is never be afraid. Where is it? I'm trying to bring it up right now. because I typed a lot of things up here. Meetup locations. Oh, here we are. Autograph tables are almost always cash, so plan ahead. Most vendors will run credit cards, PayPals, etc. Don't be afraid to haggle. Make deals. The less they pack up, the better for them. These guys, they pack so much stuff, so much merch. If you're going the last day of a con, odds are you can make some deals. I was at Steel City Con a couple years ago. I did my Ghostbuster cosplay. It's the first time I did just a regular Ghostbuster cosplay, no Back to the Future or anything like that. And there was a guy who had a Flash hot toy. I actually talked him down $30, which was awesome. There was another guy selling a Flash hot toy, but he had the better deal, and I was able to talk him down a little bit less, which was even better. But that's the thing, walk around the cons, make a couple rounds to see.
Sunday is sale day.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say go. Like me and Mrs. Dimension, we go on Saturday. That's kind of like our con day, which is perfectly fine. But yes, the last day you can usually make some deals. I have a Miles Morales, Spider-Man Miles Morales hot toy I have yet to unbox. I talked to one person and they quoted me one price, right? And I said, well, I'm going to walk around. I'll see what I'll be back. I came back. The price went up because it's brand new, never opens, right? So the price went up, but she says, oh, well, I remember he did tell you that price. So she honored that price. So that was cool. Although at the time the credit card reader was down, so I did have to run and get cash. But I do have it sitting right here. I still need to do an unbox on it. But that's the thing. Don't be afraid to talk to people. And that was at Nickel City. I made that deal. This past Nickel City Con. But Steel City Con, I also a buddy of mine told me, hey, just ask. It doesn't hurt. They're not going to be offended if you ask the vendor, like, hey, what's the best you can do on this? Or hey, if I buy a couple things, can we bundle them together? Do some bundling deals. I mean, if they take shave a few dollars off a few things, but they're moving the product, that's less they have to take home, and they're selling a few more things technically, so they're still making some money. Because just like you don't know, well, is this still going to be here? They don't know. Geez, is this still going to be here on Sunday? You just never know, and it doesn't hurt to ask. And I've had it where I had cash and I bought Funkos, Doctor Who Funkos, and they actually gave me a better deal because I had American cash. So it all depends on the circumstances. It doesn't hurt to ask and to try and wheel and deal. Okay. Archer says, I'm team no big breakfast, especially for CC. It's so crowded. I'm not trying to have any bathroom emergencies. I gotta say, since I had my gastric bypass, I've been my bathroom issues. I used to be one of those people who would have to hit the bathroom a couple times throughout the course of a day. But I'll say this, my digestive system is way better, so I'm not having to, because that's the one thing. So you go to the bathroom, there's usually a line at a con to get in, just to get into the bathroom, let alone a stall or anything else. And heaven forbid, with that many people, the TP is going to run low. You just know it's going to happen. So, but that's the thing. But yeah,
another reason to bring your own wipes.
Yeah, bring your own wipes. Like I said, like unscented wipes or scented wipes or whatever. Like Mrs. Dimension said, hand sanitizer. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people will have hand sanitizer. At this one con, a guy had he was dressed as a vampire hunter, right? He goes into his vampire prop bag or case, and in one of the he had bottles like this, right? But what he did was he had this powder stuff, which is like a powdered soap. So he had his own stuff. Another person I saw, they had it looked like it was slime. It wasn't slime. It was more like a very thick kind of jelly soap. It was like a hand sanitizer thing that the guy made himself. There's stuff out there that you can get that, hell, go to like a AmVets, or not AmVets, but like an Army Navy surplus. There's a lot of like stationary stuff you can get that the military use, very basic stuff. But what we're saying, guys, is be mindful, have fun, research, have a backup for your backups. I think that's probably one of the best things to do. Have fun. And honestly, if you're thinking about getting into cosplay, come up with an idea, look at what you can do, research. Don't be afraid of doing any kind of a cosplay. And ultimately have fun. And hey, 3D printing is a great way to go. And
If
addicting.
I may, I would like to say, I do suffer from anxiety, and I have problems with crowds and stuff. I
Mhm.
found at pretty much all of the cons I've attended, I mean, in the area, anyways, the best place to breathe is at the walls.
Mhm.
Around the perimeter of the interior is always the least busy stuff, unless you have a
Yeah.
food stand slapped there or something like that. But you can almost always find a calm place somewhere along the outside wall of
Yeah.
the
'Cause,
building.
I mean, even at like places like Fan Expo, I mean,
Just be careful of
literally,
doors.
yeah. I mean, usually you'll see lines of people just sitting on the floor,
Hmm.
leaning up against the wall, just so they can rest their back, or they can just get off their feet. And that's another
No
thing.
cons have None of these cons have a
Have
plethora
benches.
of chairs
No,
or outlets.
no. And
That's
again,
why you should bring your own. Yep.
do I have enough 4 power banks? Maybe.
You should just make your proton pack a power bank.
Technically speaking, the battery I have powering my proton packs is
Okay.
basically a slightly bigger version of one of these. No, seriously, because the proton packs, the ones I've built, and the
Mhm.
HasLab one that I modified, I took out the battery, the regular D battery compartment, because that's like $20 just to get battery. They're gonna run out over time.
Yeah.
But I've done it's a company called Talon Cell. They make these big power banks. They have USB, and literally I could charge that battery pack, that power bank, and I could literally run the pack for about 5 days straight, 24 hours, 24/7, like 24 hours a day for like 4 days straight. Tons of power for days. But also, I mean, like if I really needed to charge, I can run a port where I could charge my phone at the same time. So I mean, yeah, it's all about preparation, and it's all about being mindful of your limitations. I mean, if you think you can wear your cosplay for 2 or 3 hours, you're going to be at a con for a lot longer than that. Most people will. Most people. I mean, if you got screaming kids or maybe screaming old people, you just never know.
You're paying $30 a ticket. You're gonna try to stay longer
Yeah,
than 2 to 3 hours.
yeah. I mean, like me, I have my GoPro, got my cell phone because I plan on doing a lot of recording while I'm there.
Hmm.
You know, um, but
I
other
will
than that,
say I always get my family like speed passes at the
yeah,
very least,
I'm
because
avoiding.
with our situation, it makes everything easier getting in through a different entrance
Mhm.
sometimes, and also not having to wait in line at the autographs and stuff sometimes too.
Okay, so Mrs. Dimension messaged me and she wants me to share this. So I'm gonna bring this back up. This is us at Steel City Con. If I can pull it back up, here we go. She was doing Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was doing my Ghostbuster outfit there. I actually look pretty slim right there. I missed that version of me.
A different entrance
Mhm.
sometimes,
Let's
and
see, where
also
was
not having to wait
the
in line at the autographs and stuff
and she
sometimes
got
too.
to meet James Okay, Marsters, so Spike from Buffy. Mrs. Dimension messaged me and she wants me to share Let me see if I can this. pull that back up.
I don't know. We were in a
Here.
time loop there for a second.
Come on. There we go. There you go. So yeah, that's her with William or with James Marsters, Spike from Buffy. He actually he did that pose on purpose. Like she didn't prompt him to do that. He's like stab me, Buffy. So according to her, so she had a good time.
You always love when the celebrities get into it and
Oh yeah,
are there to have fun as well.
yeah.
You can always tell when the celebrities want to be there, and you can always tell when they don't.
There's the
Oh,
I
nice.
did the Marty McFly, and that was the female Ash. That
Yep.
was one I mean that's still one of my favorite photos. So like when cosplayers see another cosplayer and they're like, "Hey, can I get a photo with you?" I'm like, "Yes, please, by all means." It's just a great time. Let's see, do I have any others? No, I don't think I have any others
And
right now.
cosplays don't necessarily have to be gender
No,
specific either.
no, they don't.
I've seen many female doctors.
Yep,
I've seen male versions of some female characters as well. It's
I've seen female gambits.
yeah.
I and some of them are pretty damn amazing.
It usually goes more that it's a woman playing a male character. You
Mhm.
don't you don't often see the males a male playing a female character as often. It does happen, and it's wonderful when it does because sometimes those costumes are just freaking amazing. But
Yeah,
I mean,
there are
you'll
some
see.
people that spend a year on their
Oh
cosplays
yeah,
making the outfits themselves.
yeah. But you'll go through and you'll see like a girl Freddy Krueger, or a female Optimus Prime or something, and it's always great to see that. Or you'll see um, a guy doing a version of like the ancient one
Yes,
from
from Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange or something along those lines. So I mean, don't be afraid to swap. If you love a character, don't be afraid to cosplay
Yeah,
as that character.
make it your own. I mean, that's
Yep.
what the multiverse is about, you know.
Yeah.
But I want to, Roger, we're going to wrap things up here. I want to thank you for joining me,
Oh, my pleasure.
longtime
Thanks for having
friend,
me.
local con attendee, uh, master 3D printer. I mean, how many printers are you at right now? Are you three?
I have four.
Four.
My large printer is out of commission at the moment. I have to
Uh,
get a new
what is that?
print head.
What brand is that?
That's the Anycubic Cobra 2 Max.
Okay, is that a resin or is that
No, I use just
okay,
FDM printers.
okay.
I only use the filament.
Yeah,
I'm scared of resin.
I love yeah, I don't one a couple reasons I don't think I'd get into is one, asthma, the fumes, you
Yep.
because I would if I were to do that, I'd have to have it like right here and then have because I have a window right behind my monitors, I'd have to
Mhm.
have it vented right out. So there's that, and I think it can be pretty messy
Yeah.
because I mean it is being
Yep.
made in a liquid solution.
Yep.
But I love my P1P, my bamboo, and sadly there are thoughts in my head about getting a second AMS because I can do 4 colors, but if I get a second one, then I can have 8 colors and just the
When
kind of
they
stuff
went
I
on
could.
sale, I bought an X1C and a P1S, both combos, because
Okay.
then I could use it as an excuse to myself that okay, now I have two AMSs, and I got this other printer for a couple $100.
Well, the funny
So I can
thing,
still run two AMSs and have another bamboo printer running a single
well,
filament
do you know why I have the second? Do you know why I have the AMS to begin with?
because it's awesome.
Mrs. Dimension pushed me for it. She said, she says, we can get the AMS and I'll even give you money towards it. Um,
Hey,
I'm not going to argue. And well, I mean, I printed her gold. As you guys saw me holding up the Desert Eagle.
Yep.
She wanted the gold one, so I printed her gold ones. I even printed her holsters, so I've been printing her plenty. I've been printing little mini puffs, and just there's so much. Oh, here's a question. Let's see
Oh,
here.
give me
Death
one
Emergency.
second.
Printing anything new toy related. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, Archer. I'm going to pull up my Bamboo Studio so you can see something I'm working on.
Well,
Let's
these
see.
are my latest. This one finished last night.
Ooh. Now, what printer were you doing that off of?
This is on my X1 Carbon.
I wonder if I probably could do that, but that would probably take
Oh
like a
yeah, you
day and a
can.
half.
No, well, no. This one took 54 hours because
So
it's
two
only three
days.
colors. It took like two days, 4 hours. And this is another one I just did, which has a lithophane on the back.
Yeah, I saw when you posted the pictures. That looks insane.
You just
You use the glow in the dark filament.
for the lasers? No,
Yes.
no, that's
No.
no glow in the dark filament at all.
Oh.
Nope, that's just regular filament. It's a lithophane, so it does that.
Yeah, I can see that. That's coming through here. Archer
Oh.
says that's sick. Great way to display those. I love living in the future. He says. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. There's so much you like. There's so much you can do now. I've been downloading stuff. I actually bought some files from Etsy
Nice.
for GI Joe. GI Joe vehicles from the 80s. They're now upscale to classified series. So, like for
Basically,
example,
everything over here.
yes,
I have all these hexagons and stuff that are displaying my pops. I have my Darth Vader coming through the wall.
nice.
I have his hand down here and his lightsaber. He'll hold his lightsaber and stuff. But yeah, that's
So
just like a whole bunch of stuff that I printed out.
this was the Devilfish from GI Joe from back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
This is the top of it. So Archer, yes, I am going to be doing some classified series scale items. So yeah, and what I love is I can do this any color. Somebody actually asked me if I could do let me just fix this. Someone asked me if I could do one of these, but do it in navy. So I'm going to be doing it in navy. But yeah, I can play around like all the missiles, the bottom, the motor, everything is in there, and I can print it all out. And this will fit a 6-inch classified series Hasbro figure. They also have they have Sergeant Slaughter vehicles, which is great because I just got my Sergeant Slaughter in.
Nice.
But yeah, Archer, there's a lot of stuff coming that I'm going to be doing on my channel. And not everything is perfect. I mean, I made my Nintendo Zapper, which this one is great, but I have another one which didn't come out that great. I don't even know where it is right now. But Archer also knows I've been printing parts for a new Proton Pack too.
Nice.
So I got to get going on that at some point. He says change the screen. And I will go ahead and remove. But we're going to wrap things up. It's about 10:15. I got to take care of a few things here. Again, Roger, thank you for coming on.
Past my bedtime.
So we can see what you're showing. That's what I was showing. Or I think he meant what you were showing a moment ago.
Oh, this? I mean, that's basically what I was showing. I love this thing, though, man.
Hold on, let me make you bigger. There you go.
There we go. This is one of my favorite prints thus far.
That looks insane. Have you printed a saber yet?
Oh, lightsabers? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Baby, I got a Lego saber.
Nice. I guess I'll have to print one up for my wife at some point because she's a big Lego fiend.
And I always like these that are in
Like the katana.
the katanas and stuff too. So
Nice.
yeah. Yep.
And he
So,
says,
yeah.
funny, I was just wondering if people were printing sabers. Yes. It's a thing.
Yeah.
It is a very, very dangerous thing. But we're going to wrap this up. Again, I want to thank Roger for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure.
Guys,
Thanks for having me.
Again, anyone watching this either on live or watching this on the replay squad, hashtag replay squad, if anyone wants to come on to Tuesday Night Lives, Tuesday Night Talks it's just an open stream hangout. If you have a YouTube channel, a Twitch, Kick, whatever kind of platforms you're on Instagram, maybe you have an Etsy store you want to promote, just message me at Daves_Dimension on Instagram or email me at davesdimension78@gmail.com. And we'll set up a Tuesday where you can come on live. If that doesn't work for you, we can always pre-record it on another day that suits your schedule. So just let me know. Archer says, I'm happy you're streaming again. Yeah, we're sticking in there. There was a few weeks that were not the greatest, and I'm bouncing back with it. Life is like that. Sometimes, life is a little bit of chaos, and we all know that this channel is the channel where chaos and insanity will always reign supreme. Got a lot of interesting things coming through the pipeline, guys, so please stay tuned. Of course, I just dropped a new video today, so go ahead and check out my YouTube channel, Dave's Dimension. You can check out that unbox I did of the 3-0 White Ranger, which is a great alternative to Hot Toys. It's still a 1/6 scale figure, 12-inch figure. And instead of paying like $300, you're paying about $100 for one of those. So this is definitely a nice alternative. So go ahead and check that out. But guys, until next time, this is Dave from Dave's Dimension saying keep on busting. And you know what I'm going to say. I say it every single time. I will always catch you on the flip side. Take care, guys.
I've got an itch I can't scratch, I'm missing a piece that completes a whole part of me, an open wound scar to see. Everybody come here, gather round, welcome to the freak show.